Hello everyone. In this video, I will be going over the United States Army Armor Branch, its history, and its organization. I will also go over the different roles within an armor platoon. The Armor Branch is an organization within the United States Army that utilizes tanks and other mechanized vehicles to meet and destroy the enemy. It was founded on July 10, 1940, and currently has a home base in Fort Benning, Georgia. Its motto is the Combat Arm of Decision. I will first go over the history of how the Armor Branch came to be, starting in 1928 when a small mechanized unit was organized at Camp Meade, Maryland. Unfortunately, this unit was disbanded after only a few months. Following this, in 1930, a test mechanized force was organized at Camp Eustis, Virginia, and operated for 1 year before being shut down. In 1931, a definite mechanization program was adopted, and in 1933, policy was approved for mechanization and motorization. This included a cavalry brigade and equipment for infantry regiments. In 1938, this policy changed to apply to certain infantry and cavalry units for tactical functions, and then finally, on June 7, 1940, the armored forces were centralized under one branch. Moving on to the structure of the Armor Branch, I will first discuss the structure of the overall teams within the Army. So there are 3 different types of brigade combat teams: an armored brigade combat team, a striker brigade combat team, and an infantry brigade combat team. An armored brigade combat team is the Army's primary armored force. There are 2 different types of armored platoons within this combat team: a tank platoon, which consists of 4 tanks and 16 soldiers, and a scout platoon, which consists of 6 BFVs and 36 scouts. A BFV, which is otherwise known as a Bradley Fighting Vehicle, is a tracked armored fighting vehicle. The Striker Brigade combat team consists of scout platoons, which have 6 strikers and 36 scouts. A striker vehicle is an 8-wheeled armored fighting vehicle. In an infantry brigade combat team, there are scout platoons with 6 JLTVs and 24 scouts. JLTVs are Joint Light Tactical Vehicles, which are essentially upgraded Humvees. Now I'll get into the individual structure of these platoons and the different positions within them. Starting with the tank platoon in an armored brigade combat team, the platoon is made up of 4 tanks. The first tank is commanded by the platoon leader and has a gunner, tank driver, and tank loader. The gunner is responsible for the firing of the tank's weapons. The tank driver is responsible for the navigation of the vehicle, and the tank loader is responsible for reloading the weapons within the tank. The next tank has the same roles, however the platoon sergeant is commanding the tank, and then the following 2 tanks are commanded by lower-ranking tank commanders, however the positions are still the same. The Cavalry Squadron Scout Platoon within the Armored Brigade Combat Team consists of 6 BFVs. The first BFV is commanded by the platoon leader, with a BFV gunner who is responsible for firing the weapons, a BFV driver who is responsible for navigation, a team leader that provides general leadership and management under the tank commander, and 2 scouts who are responsible for scouting the general area for insurgents or other required tasks. The next BFV is commanded by the platoon sergeant, all with the same roles, and that's followed by the 4 squad leaders, each commanding their own BFV. The Combined Arms Battalion Scout Platoon within the Armored Brigade Combat Team consists of 6 JLTVs and 4 BFVs. The 2 front JLTVs are commanded by the platoon leader and platoon sergeant, with a scout and a scout driver. These are followed by pairs of 1 BFV and 1 JLTV. The BFV, which is commanded by the section leader, which contains a BFV gunner, BFV driver, and 3 scouts. And then the JLTV is commanded by the squad leader and contains 2 scouts and 1 scout driver. There are 3 additional pairs of this setup within the Combined Arms Battalion Scout Platoon. The Cavalry Squadron Scout Platoon within the Striker Brigade Combat Team consists of 6 strikers. The first striker is commanded by the platoon leader, with a striker gunner, a striker driver, a team leader, and 2 scouts. The next one is commanded by the platoon sergeant with the same roles, and followed by 4 separate strikers commanded by the squad leaders. The Cavalry Squadron Scout Platoon in an Infantry Brigade Combat Team consists of 6 JLTVs. The first one is commanded by the platoon leader with a scout javelin gunner, a scout driver, and a team leader. The next one is commanded by the platoon sergeant with the same roles. The following JLTVs are commanded by section leaders and team leaders, with the team leader having a tow gunner and 2 scouts attached to their JLTV. This concludes the organization and history of the Armored Branch. Let me know if there's another branch you'd like to see next. Thank you.